safer place. You're not alone, we're standing by your side, helping you through every twist in the ride. With knowledge, care, and a voice that's true, the Disability Digest is here for you. We've walked the path, we've heard the fight, we know the pain that hides from sight. But every story matters, every win is real. Together we rise, together we heal. You're not alone, we're standing by your side, helping you through every twist in the ride. With knowledge, care, and a voice that's true, the Disability Digest is here for you.
All right. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Well, so again, I'm Nadine, and I'm so glad you've joined us for today's live session. So, today's topic is one that's both inspiring and practical. It's how and why to earn extra income. And you'll hear from Andrea herself how she built Think Dynamic Digital while living with a hearing disability and other health challenges, and how those very challenges shape her path to becoming a business owner and advocate. And of course, in the later part of today's session, we will also take your questions live. So you'll walk away with tips that you can put into practice right away. So I am excited to introduce today's panel. Of course, first we have Brian. Hi, Brian. Founder of the Disability Digest. We all won't be here today without him. And we're also joined by Philip, who leads an online community supporting people through the disability process. So Philip works closely with our members to help them take action, stay compliant, and get the most out of their benefits. And of course, last but not the least, our featured guest for today, Miss Andrea, the founder of Think Dynamic Digital. So Andrea has helped over 400 companies to build their digital presence, and she's now expanding her work to help job seekers, especially those with disabilities, to help them find remote opportunities with a strong, optimized profile. So Andrea, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having
And
me.
and I don't know if you guys realize that the acronym for the Disability Digest and Think Dynamic Digital are the same. TDD.
I didn't realize that. Thank you for pointing that out. It's meant to be.
Yep.
Wow, Nadine, that's a good one.
Very cool.
Yes. Andrea Bocci, great to have you here. I'm excited for today. We've done a variety of topics on the how to earn extra income, but there's a component of today's conversation that we've never done, which is the why. And definitely now for somebody that is, struggling with a limitation or disability, it truly is, in my opinion and experience of doing this for almost 2 decades, it's critical to have some extra cash coming in. So thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today about your story you're going to share with us. We're going to talk about cookies today, starting small, and everybody out there is going to get a takeaway, a way that you can get involved at no cost, learn more about, practical steps to get started, and 5 different ways that you can earn money from home, right? So plus the Q&A. All right, shall we?
We shall.
Let's start with your story. I mean, What was it like? Were you in traditional employment and then something happened and you had to make an adjustment because of the hearing challenges? What was that like?
So I actually was born with a disability before the hearing disability, which is hyperacusis, which is pain from noise. Mine came from acoustic trauma in 2017. So I had been struggling with health challenges my whole life, but didn't really realize it was a quote unquote disability until about 4 years ago, as I was having a conversation with my naturopath. I just thought, okay, I have all these health challenges and I just have to figure out how to work through them. But yes, I was working traditional 9 to 5 jobs. I was living in Vermont at the time. I was raised here. I moved to, upstate New York for college. Then did a bachelor's degree in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. I went from music to business. And then I moved around. I moved to Boston. All these times I'm doing, traditional, let's stay inside the box 9 to 5 jobs in office, right? Because I didn't know that there were other options. And what kept happening is I would have to quit because there was something going on. I had a really bad reaction to a medication. It took me out for 3 years. I couldn't work. I was on short-term disability at the time. I sometimes was let go from companies, there was it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And then in 2017, I ended up with an acoustic trauma from a very loud noise. My left ear, I ended up with hyperacusis. I didn't know what that was. I'm a musician. It wasn't from musicianship, but it was from a loud noise. And I said
Mm,
to myself, oh my God, I can't work in an office with these loud noises. So
mm.
my brothers who work remote and have for many years in technology said to me, why don't you figure out how to work from home? Why don't you find a remote job? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. So it kind of started there. Oh yeah.
That's funny. That's a
Yeah,
great idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Well, I mean, we all work from home, and I know a lot of people seek that out. So by working from home, is it because you can control your environment, the noises, that's all taken care of ideally? Is that?
Well, yeah, so at first, definitely. So to be honest, because of my amazing audiologist who's a hyperacusis and tinnitus specialist. So hyperacusis is pain from noise, and tinnitus is the loud ringing that just doesn't seem to stop.
Hmm.
I don't have tinnitus, but the healing treatment for both is similar. It's music therapy under like 80 beats per minute. That's classical or jazz, no lyrics, and you listen to 2 to 4 hours a day. So at first, yeah, that was, and as a music major who majored in trumpet, I was actually going to go for music therapy back in 2003 and then decided I wanted to go into business instead and have music as a hobby. So it came full circle. I was practicing music therapy to fix my ear. Um, my ear has healed 70%. I think I've actually reached the peak where I don't think I'm going to heal anymore, even though my audiologist says there is hope for more healing. So at first, I definitely needed to absolutely control my environment all the time. And I have these amazing Westone musicians earplugs that I've heard even like Blue Man Group wears, or any musician really can wear, that filters out decibels and helps retrain your auditory system and your limbic system, because hyperacusis is really it's like a broken signal in between the brain and the ear. So it's pain in your ear, but it's still a brain thing. So working from home was perfect because I could only wear my Westone filtered earplugs for 4 hours at a time, because my audiologist, Dr. Julie Beer, in at Better Living Audiology in South Burlington and Middlebury, Vermont, said that if you leave those in for longer than 4 hours, you actually can make your hyperacusis worse. So at the time, it was definitely working from home. It still is now, but I can be around more sounds now. I can actually go to concerts with my Westone earplugs. I
Wow.
can, do speaking engagements. I have to be careful though. Like July when the fireworks happen,
Mm,
it can re-injure. It did this last time, but because I have the
okay.
tools now, the healing time is a lot less. It used to be like weeks, now it's like days. Um, so yeah, working from home just makes sense for all of it.
Yeah. What you shared, I find inspiring. People that tune in and listen, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube, wherever you are out there. It's a whole different series of conditions, limitations, disabilities. But one of the things that's underlying is I encourage people, even with my mother who's 93, I'm trying to get her to take better care of herself, is to be persistent, right? Because you might not fully recover like you're at 70%, but
Right.
70 is better than 20 or whatever it was before, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have to say, building the business that I built thanks to Higher Ability, which is actually vocational rehabilitation, rebranded into Higher Ability Vermont,
Yeah.
the Vermont Small Business Development Center, Brock, all these amazing agencies, the Department of Labor. Um, I was able to, get to a certain point, like get better, and start the business. Well, I guess get better to where I am now. Like 70% is definitely better than 20%. And I feel that the business and figuring out how to make the income from home and then helping others actually is a form for me of what they call cognitive behavioral therapy, where you concentrate on whatever like is good in a way so that because I kept going down the rabbit hole of depression and anxiety and like even some PTSD because the loud noise would cause so much pain. But taking that challenge and then saying, okay, I don't want to sit in the corner and cry because like that's what I'm doing and it's really not working for me.
Hmm.
The 70% I feel is a huge, huge difference. And I'm so grateful for it. And it wouldn't have been able to happen without all the people and doctors on my medical team.
And what I'm hearing also is a purpose. You have something now that has given you a sense of purpose to work and drive for. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why, I've been in business almost 6 years doing digital marketing and business solutions, but now I'm branching into I want to help other people that might be dealing with something like I'm dealing with, or just, job seekers in general, and job seekers with a disability. I was a recruiter for a few years, worked with like 600 job seekers, and now I'm actually in the last year, I created a digital mentorship program for higher ability participants. No cost. I just do it out of the goodness because I want to help people. Where I teach them about how their digital presence and their LinkedIn and their all that jazz really helps them find work, whether it's remote or
Oh yeah.
self-employment.
Oh
So,
yeah. I'm big on this. Like I'm on my kids all the time about, their own personal brand
yes,
and and that. Yeah. Even people that work here, I
right.
strongly encourage that because there may be life after the disability. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's cool. So I want to pivot a little bit here. Your mom, big influence in your life. I want to talk about
Yes.
your mom and the cookie business
Yeah.
and
Okay.
how that has influenced your direction.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you asking about that because my dad, I come from a family of entrepreneur parents. My dad was an electrician in the 80s when I was a baby. So he has some great knowledge to share. He then went into computer programming. My
Oh,
mom, she, went to college for communications. And when she was 55, so we're talking like 22 years ago, the company she was working for said, "Okay, we're gonna move to Georgia if you want to come with us." It was a fly fishing magazine, and she was assistant editor. And she said, "I moved from Brooklyn and Queens with my husband to Vermont to live off the land and experience the Green Mountains. I don't want to move to Georgia." So as much as Georgia is probably a wonderful place, she's now a Vermont gal. So she started because she was watching a show called Food Finds on the Food Network. She had been baking since she was 12, and she said, "I'm going to start a cookie company." And that's what she did. She started Vermont Moonlight Cookies, and she's been in business 22 years. And when I was sick for on short-term disability like years ago, um, I fell in love with growing her business using social media and email marketing in a very authentic way. And it really has worked so well. And the model that I've been using with my mom's business, I've been using with all the businesses that I work with now as my clients or through the Vermont Small Business Development Center, where I'm also a marketing consultant helping their clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I use that same model of like a very relationship building, trust building model and not just salesy. And it really works. And it's thanks to my mom, with her business, I was able to fall in love with digital marketing and really teach myself about it after my business degree because they didn't really have digital marketing so much when I was in college. They had business and marketing, but not the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as a fellow Vermonter, I must confess that I have yet to try Vermont Moonlight cookies. I gotta get,
Well, as long as you don't have a gluten allergy, because they are very much glutenified. Um,
no, I
but
don't.
yeah, they're her maple shortbread is it took 13 recipes to perfect. It's the signature cookie. She basically makes them with Cabot butter, King Arthur flour, local maple syrup and jams, and then cuts them into Vermont themes. And she specializes in wedding favors. I'm actually learning the business too and how to bake the cookies because when one day she's not able to do it anymore, I would love to keep that going and my business as well. So
Sure. They kind
it's
of go
like
hand in hand. You're gonna need marketing in any business, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really nice story.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm just gonna start a cookie business, a baking business. I love it.
She's won awards. She's just amazing. I'm so inspired by her. And, my dad even has said like, because I mean, everybody in the family, everybody knows of my health issues and they know I'm trying as best as I can. And he said, you can always do the cookies. You just have to roll them out, right? She hand cuts every one. So there's
Whoa,
no machines there.
custom cut,
Yeah.
custom made.
Yeah. It's pretty
Wow.
special.
Wow. Is that where the moonlight part comes in? Because you got to do it all the time. You're moonlighting or anything like that?
You got it.
Really?
Absolutely. You got it. That's so funny you said that. Moonlight in Vermont. Yes. In fact, her graphic designer, who built her logo many years ago, sang Moonlight in Vermont and gave it to her on a CD because of that exact reason.
Wow.
And yeah, because she's basically baking cookies to the light of the moon sometimes.
Wow. All right, Nadine, we're tied today. You got one, I got one.
Yep.
So let's move on to your current business. Like what were some of maybe the first steps that you took? Like, did you just like do what your mother did and said, yeah, I think I'm gonna start this business and call it Think Dynamic Digital, or what happened there, Andrew?
Yeah, so basically, I was searching for remote jobs, and this is pre-COVID times.
Mm.
It's not like remote jobs didn't exist. They absolutely do, and did. And we also have to remember Vermont, as much as I love Vermont, wasn't so open to the remote work structure. There's so much data out there that shows that when we work remotely, um, that we are actually more committed to the job. And sometimes we have to really be careful that we don't work all the time because, we work from home, right? So the data really shows that it's really, really important. And it's great for a work-life balance. But what was happening was I couldn't find the remote work. I had a lot of companies and I was working with Hireability, who was connecting me with employers that needed my skills. But they were saying, well, this is an in-person job. And I'm thinking, it's not really. Digital marketing is not an in-person job. But, to each their own. Everybody's got their own opinions. Um, so I said, okay, this isn't working. I have skills and I want to learn and I love researching. So I'm going to start my own company. And I researched it for a year. I worked with Brock out of Rutland, which helps people in a lot of different areas with building a business plan. I worked with the Vermont Small Business Development Center. I just did a lot of research and I was in Facebook groups. I was on Reddit. I was on, all the platforms doing the research about what are other people doing? What can I add that is a competitive advantage that is not copying someone, that is like bringing my flavor to the table?
Hmm.
So I worked with the agencies and secured some funding through grants because of a solid digital or a solid business plan, which I will say, anybody who wants to start a business, it's vital to build a business plan. Even if you don't know what you're doing, that's okay. You can work with a no-cost business advisor either through your state's Small Business Development Center, SCORE, or the Small Business Administration to help you get to that step because it's really the plan for success.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So it's really another thing that I find uh, hopefully inspiring to other people out there is you use state resources to help you with the planning process, and you get some grant money to start your business. Because
Hmm.
grant money is not easy. It's even, we're going to talk about in a few minutes the challenges that people have and getting in touch with their state agency. So good for you.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things going on. So you had the plan in place that made it easier. You took the time to research and really carefully thought out um, a plan, and it worked for you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's ebbs and flows. It's up and down, right? And the health issues sometimes just show up out of nowhere, and they have always and still are a challenge. You
Hmm.
know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't really feel good right now, but then I remember I'll get through this. Whatever I can do with that, I just have to work around it. Working from home allows me to honor my health needs,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Philip is a disability recipient, and he's been working here for 107 years. And
Almost.
has his, you understand what it's like to play her, the number of things that you've been through. It's just part
Yeah.
of the game, right? A lot of respect for that. Yeah, it just adds a whole level of uh challenge to it. Uh,
Does.
so for the audience out there with a broad spectrum of possible limitations, is there something that you could like give advice for like a simple, low risk way to test? Start like, what does somebody do first? Let's presume they've done nothing, but they'd like to do something.
Yeah, I would suggest, I really can't stress this enough. I mean, when there's free resources out there, and take hold of them while they're still free, because we don't know what's going to change in the, landscape of everything these days.
Hmm.
Um, I will say that my business advisor and my business mentors through this whole entire process that I still meet with today, just like a therapist has their own therapist, right? A business consultant or marketing consultant has their own business consultants. Um, to utilize the free resources, the business advisors that are in the states, in each state, to contact vocational rehabilitation. I just jumped on Reddit, actually under my name, Think Dynamic Digital, and I was in the jobs subreddit, and somebody asked something about their husband and wondered what he could do, and he has a health challenge. And I said, have you considered reaching out to vocational rehabilitation? And the woman said, I've never heard of that. And I thought, oh my goodness, so many people I hear over and over aren't aware of the services from the vocational rehabilitation agencies all over the states. Now, I'm the chair of the Vermont State Rehabilitation Council that partners with Higher Ability Vermont, which is vocational rehabilitation. So we're making the laws and the pieces. I was appointed by Governor Scott to do this,
Good
and
for
I
you.
really love this work. And I do see that there needs to be more information going out there because a lot of people don't realize that it exists.
Yeah.
So I would say reach out to vocational rehabilitation and either SCORE, who has volunteers, no cost business advising, the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, or the SBA, the Small Business Administration in your state or territory. And they can help you with even the little things, just bouncing ideas off of or building that business plan.
Mhm.
That's what's going to really help. And it helps to have somebody support you when you're dealing with health issues too, right? It's like, I don't feel good today, but you always have like a cheerleader with you. I think
Mhm.
that's important.
I want to tighten this up a little bit. Is it what I'm hearing you say is people can go to one of these organizations um, without a plan to explore plan ideas, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be better to go if you have a plan? Do people have ideas?
So to be honest, you can go either way. When I work with clients through the Vermont Small Business Development Center, I've worked with businesses that have been in business 30 years, and I've worked with people that are just have an idea that they
Hmm.
want to move forward. So I think they help anyone who is interested in going into business for themselves or a freelance, and some agencies, those are all for-profit businesses. There might be also agencies out there that help nonprofits because even though a nonprofit is a nonprofit, they're still
Hmm.
selling a service. They're
Hmm.
selling, right? And they want people to buy to donate to them or to volunteer. So yeah, I think you can go with a plan, without a plan, with a thought, because they will still help you, and then maybe you have to figure out other things before you can, but they're there to help you along the way.
Good, good. Um, one of the things I just want to, for those of you out there like, oh my God, I don't know if I get a plan, if I can pull it off. One of the things that I'm a fan of, and I've learned over the years, is to encourage people to even dial back from the work part if they don't feel their condition will allow them to do that by putting themselves in a volunteer position where maybe they've got to go keep score at a basketball game or they volunteer at their local center for independent living or something like that. Um, in a way, you kind of did that by doing your research phase, right? So that was a year. I don't know if you had your days mapped out and you were doing that, but I'm just saying this for people out there that might be intimidated. Maybe there's a step prior to this that will allow you to like warm up before you get in the game. So you're doing something.
Absolutely. I have to say that's the best thing is the volunteer. And whatever that looks like for each person, asking these organizations, what's the time commitment? And can I meet on Zoom? So for me, even now, when the pandemic is no longer the pandemic, even though COVID is still with us,
Mhm.
right? And then all these other things are happening. And um, it's really important that I was able to meet with people and agencies and mentors through Zoom or through Teams because um I couldn't be there in person. So I was volunteering on boards in my local community in a digital fashion and it worked and it's working.
Mhm.
Um but as far as feeling like, oh yeah, we what's the step before that? Yeah, I mean, the research part, which sometimes can feel heavy, is actually fun because we are learning. We're asking people, to see if this product or service has legs. Can it work? Um, Using like, what is it, Google products and Answer the Public. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Has anybody heard of Answer the Public?
I
No.
haven't.
It's
No.
a, you basically can see what people are Googling and searching for. So if you can learn what people's needs are and you can find a solution to that problem, because really that's what businesses are and nonprofits are. It's all about what's the solution
Right.
that we can bring to people and we can really make a positive impact.
Yeah. That's
So
how we all ended up here today.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
The research. So there's a term that you use that I like, which is start small. So if somebody's looking to start small, with a tight budget, do you have like tools or resources that they could use to start their research, building a plan, getting going?
Yeah, I do actually. I have quite a few. There's one is the PDF that I created for this session, which is 5 ways to make money from home
Hmm.
without a full-time job. And you can sign up for that. You get that. You can keep it. You can download it. There's even a note section. You can like make some notes in there. Um, but there's also like I have a blog that has some pretty neat things. What you really want to do when you start small is, think about also what you like. What are your hobbies? Now, to some, this might sound strange, but there's so many ways to make money. And legal ways to make money that are legit, right? We don't
Sure.
want to walk into any scams. And to be honest, scams are everywhere. And those scammers are trying to take advantage of vulnerable people, like me and others. And we have to be careful. So, um, I think just, doing the research and understanding I can make money from a hobby I have. Um, because when you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't so much feel like work, even though it is. We know it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it gives you more of a drive. And sometimes we can't because our health limitations are just like, listen, you can't. You're just staying in bed today. There's no way that's happening. Um, but for me, it also helped me to dream and to like get excited and to say, I feel terrible right now. I don't feel well. I can't get out of bed. This is not going to happen today. The pain is too much.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave me something to look forward to. And that also helped me heal a bit. I'm not saying that's going to be everybody's case because some people it's just not possible, right? That's just not possible.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think starting small is there's a book, I don't know if any of you have heard of, but it's called Atomic Habits. Are you familiar with that book?
Yeah.
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 So that book was a game changer for me.
Really
And James Clear talks about stackable, tiny stackable ha like tasks,
interesting. Yeah.
right? That is what I think helped with my business, with each project.
Mm-hmm.
And, I suffer with imposter syndrome. I know a lot of leaders that do. We're always like, oh, are we going to be good enough? Is this going to work? And I think it's really important to make myself vulnerable and tell people that so that they know that a lot of people struggle with that and it's okay. We just have to be kind to ourselves, I think, and that's really important.
That's well said. Yeah. Yeah. No, habit stacking is a great thing to have. Um, I'm thinking about the work that you've done with, was it 400 companies that you've helped, something like that?
Yeah, so far.
I expect you've learned from everybody always, promotes the good side of business. It's not always that way, at least you know.
No.
So I'm sure there's some mistakes that have happened out there. Is there anything that you can share, anonymously that you've learned from observing all these companies that might help people understand some of the pitfalls
Yeah, yeah.
to
Well,
avoid?
absolutely. And that's why I'm so glad I have a business advisor to reach out to who helps me reshape whatever it is I need to do. She actually told me to do something different about a year and a half ago, and it has really changed the game. So, I make mistakes all the time. I mean, we all do. It's part of the journey. Um, but those mistakes and the failures that happen, I think it's actually good to fail because then we learn how do we rise up from that. And I don't
Mhm.
like saying fail, but at the same time, for me personally, I know that sometimes I'll do something and it just doesn't work. But that allows me to look at it, to build a plan and optimize how to move forward. Which has also helped me in my health journey, to be honest with you, because they are so very much intertwined. But I think, uh, yeah, business is not, people think, oh, you work for yourself. Oh, that must be easy. I'm like, no, because you like when you work for an employer, you might get the benefits. You might not feel well that day, so you can spend the day in bed, but you're getting a paycheck. But that's not how it goes with entrepreneurship, you know. Um, which is why I really feel it's important to go into the area and expand into passive income, which is why I'm trying to teach people about passive income, specifically people with disabilities and chronic health issues and their caregivers.
Yeah.
Because you can make money while you're sleeping if you set it up well on the front end.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot of possibility. It's just figuring out those pieces.
Yeah. You know, that I shared with our team recently in a meeting the concept of learning from mistakes that was
Mhm.
inspired by
Yeah.
the actor George Clooney, who has a
Mm.
great YouTube short. Anybody that's interested in, just go check him out about it. But he's like, I learned nothing from my success.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
I learned everything from the failures, and I've learned a lot. So that's his.
Absolutely. Somebody said to me a couple years ago, you shouldn't use the word failure. I said, well, but then that's not me really examining and looking at the picture.
Yeah,
Because, like in my business, I will audit someone's entire digital presence. It doesn't mean their digital presence is a failure. It means this is where you are now. And what are your goals? That's where you want to go. So we're going to audit that and we're going to see
yeah,
where are these wonderful paths we can move to.
yeah.
So I think
You,
it's important.
you want to start with the control.
Mhm.
Um, so you have the assistance that you've done with the 400 companies, and now you're pivoting into teaching individuals how to make money at home. We're going to talk more about that at the end. You've got some takeaways for people, right? So that's super exciting. It's definitely a need. It's actually the very, very, very grassroots of how I got into this Disability Digest business was meeting individuals that were, working with limitations. So
Yeah,
good for you.
that's great.
So how do you, I'm going to ask you this, is kind of optional if you want to answer it this way, but I want to see if I can get an idea how you balance your health and health challenges with the commitments that you have with work, because ultimately that is the issue that a lot of people struggle with. They're like, oh my God, I'd like to do that, but it's time sensitive. I have to have something done by then, like, and my condition dictates my day. So
Yeah. How do you do that?
how do you do that?
Yeah, and I have this thing. I like to volunteer too, so I have to really be careful because I right now sit on three boards and committees in Vermont because I like volunteering. I feel like it's a very it has helped me with my health issues. It's helped me connect to people when I felt very isolated because of my health issues. And I used to think that health issues for me, I was ashamed. No one should be ashamed. That's really, but because society puts this awful pressure on us to we have to look like, so traditional and this and that and the other thing. It's really awful, quite honestly. Um,
Mm,
I didn't speak about my health issues for the longest time, but then I thought, no, it's better for me to make myself vulnerable, to talk about it, to come forward. But I think honestly, how do you juggle it? Well, I use a task manager for one. I know that's going to sound, like very vague, but a task manager really helps me identify visually what it is that I can concentrate on that day. And if I can't because a health issue comes up, then I say to myself, you know what? The most important thing right now is me taking care of me. The self-care has to come first. Um,
mhm,
I've learned the hard way that the self-care has to come first because I've not put it as priority
mhm.
and things have happened. And I can't do anything if it's not for my health, right? None of us can really, we can't do anything else if we're not identifying what it is we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, being kind to ourselves, putting the self-care first, I journal a lot. I like to write down my goals the night before, the next day to
Beautiful.
kind of get myself in that mental framework.
Yep.
Um, and I am not ashamed to reach out to my medical team when I need. I'm so on top of it um, that they actually appreciate it. And there were not always great medical professionals along the line in my life who were helpful. So I technically just fired them because, and that's not always easy. But you have to make sure that your medical team is on board with you and is really listening. And I think that's also, a struggle that a lot of people with health challenges face.
I totally agree. That's a relationship, and relationships are not always easy to sever.
Right. They're not.
So you're stuck in a situation where it's not serving you well. You don't know what your other options are. Yeah, it's an issue.
Right.
I could go
It's a
on and
huge
on about
issue.
that one, but that's not what
Yeah.
we're doing today. Here's a hot topic I want to go through with you.
Okay.
So, using the local resources, vocational rehabilitation, and the other sources. So, here at the Disability Digest, we've done a bunch of work in this area. And as a matter of fact, we have positions that are available here for advocates to come and work that are disability recipients. And one of the parts of the application process has been to go get an evaluation from a benefit planner from your local voc rehab, and you could also get additional resources and guidance. It's like bringing a business plan, right?
Yeah.
I want to do this job for the Disability Digest, and I want you to assess it. Long story short, really difficult. It's been
Yes.
difficult for people to get connected. It's been a wait time, and this is like throughout the United States. So
Right.
Vermont, perhaps, hopefully, is different. I don't know.
Yeah.
So for those that are struggling, whether it's with the situation with us or others, and they're like, "Oh, I tried that." What advice do you have? Like, what worked for you that may work for others?
Yeah, no, that's really such a good point because this is a real issue. And Vermont is actually a leader. Other states are actually looking to Vermont because Vermont rebranded vocational rehabilitation, which tends to have a negative connotation, unfortunately, because of the word
Hmm.
rehab, which is
Hmm.
really unfortunate. There again is society. Um, so other states are looking to the model of Higher Ability Vermont. But I would say, and it's not to say that, I haven't had my challenges through the years. Consistency is really important. Reaching out to people. So I'll just put this out there. Anybody in Vermont who's having trouble connecting with their case manager or whatever, feel free to reach out to me. I will be happy to reach out to the regional manager and put you in touch with who you need to talk to if
Oh, that's an end. Yeah.
well, honestly, I've had people, I mean, I'm happy to do it because there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than when you're trying to like go through a struggle and trying to figure out your life and you can't get in touch with the people you need to get in touch with. So I want to bridge that gap. At least in this state. If I could help in other states, I'd help too. But
Hmm.
definitely it's almost like trying to find out who the hiring manager is for a remote job and then reaching out to them on LinkedIn, hoping they have a LinkedIn profile at least.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you kind of have to be a little creative and strategic,
Hmm.
but consistency
Hmm.
and reaching out to your network to get to that person can really help too.
Yeah. Yeah. I encourage people to be polite, persistent, and professional. So the
Yeah.
persistent would be consistent with your consistency, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Well,
So,
that's a great 3P approach. I like that you have said that. That's wonderful. Yes,
yeah.
being professional absolutely is so important. Polite. It is important to be your authentic self and polite because people appreciate that. We need more of that in the world.
Yeah, we do. And just for those listening that may have tried this route, it's not, I mean, the world that we live in dealing with Social Security, and even with my own, I'm advocating for my mom here in Vermont to get some assistance from state agencies. It just is the way, it's the game. And if you want to get in the game, you got to understand the game. And it's just not like they're going to pick up the phone. I've been waiting for you to call all day. That doesn't happen.
Right. No, no, it's a dance. It's certainly a dance. It's just figuring out what step to take and when, so that it's just like music, right? It's the rhythm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right, so we've gone through a variety of things, got a couple more points I want to cover, but I want to just make sure we address those that may be listening out there or that are like listening to, well, you heard about starting small, I heard about volunteering, I heard about but they're still like, I'm stuck, man. I don't know what to do. Like, do you have any like first step advice for people that may find themselves stuck, like mud season?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Cars stuck in the mud.
That's a perfect metaphor too, because we live in Vermont. Mud season is the fifth season here. Um, although not right now. Right now we're having drought, which is scary. But when you're stuck in the mud, I think it's really a good time to step back and say, one, not be hard on ourselves, because I think we're always going to get to, even when we find a breakthrough, there's going to be a moment where we're going to say to ourselves, okay, now I don't know where to go, right? It's looking at the bigger picture, and even just like journaling or writing down what is the challenge, and then write down what might be some solutions, or where can I go to get the information? Do I talk to a mentor? Do I just even go to Google and say and write my problem or challenge into Google and say, how can I find solutions for this? What can I do? So I think the one thing too is there's something called analysis paralysis, which I tend to really struggle with, which is where you will think about something so much that you won't move forward. This
Overanalyze.
happens to a lot of professionals. What was that?
You overanalyze. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so, you know, I think if you can break the challenge into like little pieces and really literally just write it down and figure out,
Hmm.
maybe I do need to go to Google, or
Hmm.
maybe I need to talk to somebody,
Hmm.
that can really help you move forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, I have one other thought to add to that. If somebody is out there and they're, listening to Andrea and her information and still trying to piece it all together, I one thought is to take a look at what you have, like from a grateful standpoint.
Hmm.
Maybe you only have 2 hours a day,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe you've got 10 years of skills that you've built up from being a nurse, and then you're going to leverage that. So start with, as another angle for people to think about, is what you have that you could leverage. I want to share a quick story before we go on to something. And we used to do these like roundtable meetings where people would come in on a topic here at the Disability Digest, and we would do them on this topic on how to start a business. And so one of the questions we would go through is like, what is it that you like to do? And this one lady, her story stands out so clearly. She's like, well, I like to sit around. I watch a bunch of TV, I don't have much energy. So this lady, we rolled this forward, and this is like there were 3, 4 week meeting sessions. She started a business called Sitting Around. So
Nice.
what she did is she would built the business based on people having household repair work done, carpets cleaned, washer needs to be fixed. So people would have to take time off. She would go there and sit around. She got bonded and did all that stuff. She built the business out of it. I lost touch with her like a few years ago, which was, I'd love to have her on the show, but that was one thing that she did, sitting around. So if you could sit around.
Excellent. And that's like the thinking outside the box, right? It's,
Yeah.
where some people say, oh, that'll never work. That who said? Why
Yeah.
not? Why can't that work? I mean, if you it's also really about the marketing. It's about the
Mhm.
messaging and who your target audience is. If you can figure out a way to package something, whether it's a service or a product, and people will buy it, you just got to get it more visible and then people will. So that's awesome. Good for
Yeah.
her.
I want to take a quick commercial timeout before we go on to self-employment. For those of you out there that might be freaking out about, oh my God, I can't make any money. I'm going to lose my benefits and it's everything I have. I work so hard to get these things. Here's the deal. If you're a Social Security disability recipient, you can earn, this is figures, the regulation as of right now, $1,160 a month without having any impact on your benefits. It's ideal to stay like 20% below that. That's the regulation. We can have it put in, Nadine, if you can get that and put it in the chat, that would be great. Now, if you're going through the disability approval process, it's a whole different deal, but we're just ideally it's best to work and to pursue something like this when you are approved. Now, if you're not approved, this is great setup time. You should be doing the research. You should be planning your next move as part of your purpose. But it's best to get approved to not be working. So now, for those that may not want to start a business, they're like, ah, business, a lot of problems. I just want to make a little money, right? We're going to show people how they can get involved in the tip process that you're going to have. But can you speak to people about that? Like, what are some of the things they could do? What other flexible part-time income options have you seen that have worked well?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because and there's different degrees of business. I've seen people do a lot of different things. I've seen people take surveys online, but you have to find a very legit, there are legit survey companies out there
Mm-hmm.
that do want to know about your opinion. There's even AI, artificial intelligence trainers, meaning you help uh, optimize AI through different companies. You can do that from home. I've seen people, yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. You just have to make sure you're, whatever you're applying to. If you find it, like if you find a job on LinkedIn, though I love the platform of LinkedIn, I often tell people to go to the direct website of the company and apply there.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that it's not a scam. But you have to really be careful. Flex Jobs is a really great place to go for vetted, remote work or ways to make money from home. Craigslist still is actually a component of this. You just have to, again, make sure it's not a scam. I've seen people build digital products for passive income. I've seen people build masterminds where they, have a group and you pay like a monthly membership fee. Um, and you learn different things or you teach different things and it's passive income. I've seen so much from the smaller survey to the digital course to the digital product. Even, some people it's not like technically all the way from home, but Instacart, DoorDash, those type of things. There's a lot of different ways to supplement
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's got different needs. Some people can't leave the house at all. Some
Yeah.
people are able to, but they just don't want to work for the employer, or they do want a remote job. And then there's a whole set of different things you have to kind of have in place to have a remote job.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, there's a lot.
There
There's a lot.
is. I was just traveling last week. I had an Uber driver that was a disability recipient. I was thinking
There
that's
you go.
ideal because you can Uber like when you feel
Yeah.
like Ubering.
Right, absolutely. Right, exactly. And then, then you could take yourself to a doctor's appointment, turn off your Uber availability and go to your doctor's appointment, right? I mean,
Mm. Yeah.
that's kind of what my life is I work around my medical appointments, my aging parents'
Mhm.
needs.
Mhm.
It's really helpful. It's also really helpful for caregivers. This isn't just for people that have disabilities or chronic health issues. It's their caregivers or anybody who really just needs that kind of flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really powerful stuff. We're going to get started with a Q&A in a moment, but I just want to share my screen here and show everybody that Nadine is going to put this link into the chat. Would you care to explain like what the expectations are that somebody will receive from this generous gift that you provided for today's show, Andrew?
Absolutely. So essentially, the checklist is 5 ways to make money from home without a full-time job. It's a quick checklist. And there's some examples on each checklist example. It talks about different things. But also, so you'll get that checklist for yourself. You can use it, you can print it out, or you can, whatever works for you. But then also when you sign up to receive that, I'm also going to be starting a YouTube channel soon, probably in October, if not before, because we're already at September 24th, um, to talk about like digital marketing and business solutions for businesses, and then job search and you know, ways to make money from home for people with disabilities and really anybody who, a lot of times people are actually working for themselves, self-employed or employed by someone else, and they need like they need that extra income, or they're on disability and they, like Brian was saying, they just need a little bit, they want to make sure it still works for them. So I'm
Mm.
talking about a lot of different things on the YouTube channel, and then soon I will be publishing some courses, some ebooks. I'm actually working on an ebook right now, how to find remote work, because I'm looking at the job market and people are really struggling. And people don't realize how important even your email signature is, or your email address. If you're using Gmail, sometimes people have unprofessional email addresses and they just don't realize it really matters when you're applying for jobs. Uh,
Mhm.
so soon that will come out, and there's a lot of resources in there to really help people figure out what they need to do and how to approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the why piece, I just want to dig into this a little bit more because as we get ready to get into Q&A, I do feel for disability applicants and recipients, this is a critical time because we get this cost of living increase that's slight, but the pinch is significant. And there's a variety of areas I can go with this conversation, but I'll just give one. The insurance companies that provide Medicare benefits have gotten in a lot of hot water. They have, their profitability's taken a hit because of some bad business practices. So like on the Medicare and the health insurance side, the benefits are going to decrease and the cost of care for a patient is going to increase. Just that one thing is going to is going to really impact people. So having the extra cash, um, is critical to help mitigate that. That's just one. So,
Right.
um, anyway, great. Well, listen, let's take some time to go over and do some Q&A. Nadine, you want to give a shout out to everybody and how this will work?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna post a link for you guys to be able to join us live via Zoom. And if you don't have a Zoom app, I'm also posting a dial-in number so you can just call us using your mobile phone. But before we go to that, I wanted to give the floor to Mr. Philip Price. I think he has some questions from his group.
Yep. And just a shout out, ideally, if you have questions about how do I get started, anything relative to today's chat, while we have Andrea here, would be would be most welcome. We'll help you with
Yep.
whatever we can, but that would be most welcome. All right, Mr. Philip Price.
Right. I really had to pour through some of the Facebook group's questions today to come up with some of the subject matter for today, because a lot of people just want to know when they're getting their check, when they're going to get approved, and when they're going to get their check. All right, this first one here says, I would like to try and work part-time after the first of the year. I'm 56 and was found fully favorable in April. I'm so nervous that they will find a reason to drop my SSDI. I only want to make about $800 a month. Should I? Does anyone else think of this who has worked part-time with no issues? Well, I'll be the first to say I've worked with Brian since 2016 or 18, and I haven't had any issues so far, thank God. But you do need, what I would say is if you're going to work part-time, you do need to follow up and do your research to make sure that you're not breaking the rules. You got to stick by the rules.
Yeah. 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 Hopefully you will not be going to jail anytime soon, Philip.
No, I'm not out there doing anything.
That would be ideal. No, I'll just add on to that. So here at the Disability Digest, we've had like anywhere like 30, 40% of our team since we started in 2006 has been disability recipients. And we haven't had anybody that's had their benefits revoked. Now, just because people work here and they stay within the guidelines, it doesn't mean that you will not be reviewed. You'll
Correct.
be reviewed. That's just part of the process, but they go away. And even if they do want to cause any problems, if you're within the regulation, they've got no dirt on you. And Nadine put the link in there. It's right to the government regulations. So you just make sure you let Social Security know that you're working and you stay within the guidelines. If you do those two things, no problem. All right, Philip, what's next?
All right, it says, Robert says, can you start part-time process, can you start the process to apply for SSDI while still working? If it takes years to get approved, what is everyone living on?
Well, that's a good question.
My
So,
rich brother.
yeah. Yeah, Andrew, if you have anything to add to any of these, just let me know. I'd certainly welcome it. But
Yeah.
so here's the challenge with applying while you're working. It would be ideal if that would be the case. But unfortunately, the argument that you have is that you're proving that you cannot work. So even if you're earning like hobby type income, $300-400 a month, it still gives Social Security the opportunity to say, maybe if you had some special accommodations, or if you were taking this medication, or you had this doctor, that you could work full time. It's been that way for the almost 2 decades that I've been doing it. It's just really, really hard to get approved. So I encourage people, stop, pivot, find a way to survive, and then return to work after you're approved.
This one's more of a statement. It says, looking for some insight. I am 53 years old. I worked as a teacher for 26 years. I also have an adult disabled child that requires a lot of care and support. I couldn't do it anymore. I have been on LTD for about a year now. I applied for SSDI in February. I have RA, fibromyalgia, anemia, anxiety, and PTSD, and depression.
So that's a statement.
Statement.
I have a question for Andrea. The people that are coming to you for assistance in supplementing their income, do they fall into like, are they working? Are these people not working? Are they disability? Is there any like demographics? Are they all over the US? Are they Vermonters?
Yeah, so I'm working with, so when it comes to businesses, there's a like a demographic, but when it comes to people that are looking to figure out different ways to make money, or also to solidify their digital presence so that they can actually, land that remote job, they're coming from lots of different areas. I have worked with a lot of people that do have disabilities, especially through the digital presence mentorship program through Higher Ability, which I built. And actually, a couple people told me recently that they landed their remote job with the like small plan that I gave them. So, because it's really important to have that. It's not just having that LinkedIn profile, it's being active on it and communicating and being social on social media. But I think, people are coming from lots of different areas. I think even people are um maybe even they're on short-term disability because they have maybe a temporary, they had surgery and they need to do something.
Mhm.
Or even people that um are just, some people are retired and they're bored. There's a lot of there's a
Yeah,
lot of different aspects. Um,
that's why I'm never going to retire.
Neither am I.
When I expire, I'll retire. Yeah.
Yeah, there's time to sleep then, but not now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not designed for me. Yeah, so this is another follow-up. Philip, I'll get back to you in a minute. So for those that are disability recipients, perhaps you got the vibe of the concern about working. Now, if somebody is needs to increase their social media or their digital presence, I expect there's a like concern because the administration now monitors people like, are you really, still qualified for benefits? Is there anything you can say to people that, they can do it safely, or maybe they can't do it safely, or perhaps they shouldn't do it? Like, am I making sense with my question to?
Are you saying because the social media, I mean, whatever you put out on social media is going to be seen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're out there looking for a job, hey, listen, I'm available. I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. And that's your whole persona that you're pushing.
Mhm.
Even if you say in part of it, I'm only looking to work 2 or 3 hours a week. It could, people are going to be concerned, I expect, about doing that because of the risk.
Right. So I know, and there's also people that are working a job right now that don't want to tell their current employer that they're looking for work because they don't want to risk them getting fired. So there's also
Right.
that, right? So there are ways to do it and to keep like it to yourself.
Yeah.
So like, don't put the open to work banner on your LinkedIn profile photo. Um there maybe don't talk about it but you can do it, you can still reach out to potential employers, you can
Hmm.
still have a digital presence and talk about you and what you know and what value you bring to the table, and then help other people and post other companies posts and comment on them and still be visible without saying I'm looking for a job, you know it yeah.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind is like an advisor, like back to the nurse. I was a nurse
Yeah.
for so many years. I'm not able to work full time right now, which is probably true. Um, but yeah, and leverage that. Good point.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
Philip, let's keep rolling.
Okay.
All right, this next one is pretty much a statement with a question at the end, but it's in relation to what Andrea was speaking about earlier about taking care of yourself first before you try to get out and take on a job. But anyway, it says, since I've been out of work, I have really been working on improving my physical and mental health without the pressure of work and addressing my needs with the gift of time. I feel I am better managing my mental health and physical health. I know going back to work will extinguish all the progress that I am making. How do you sort out what, oh, wait a minute, she's got this backwards. How do you sort that while being honest with the decision makers? Any constructive advice is appreciated.
Absolutely. So that's a really good point, and it's so good that you're also identifying what you need to take care of yourself because our health has to come first.
Mhm.
It's the foundation. There's a couple really amazing things you can do. One is you can decide, do I want to work for an employer in the office? Maybe I don't. Maybe I would rather work remotely from home. And then if that doesn't work, maybe you do your own business and figure out what that looks like. But don't forget, this is a thing that I think a lot of Vermonters don't realize. And I need to make sure I speak on it more, but people in other states, I'm not, every vocational rehabilitation in each state runs differently, but they have to abide by certain rules and regulations underneath the National Vocational Rehabilitation Council, who is actually having a conference coming up soon in California. But with Higher Ability Vermont, my understanding, and I've experienced this, I reach out to my case manager in the past and I've said, listen, I want to work for an employer. I found a job. I don't know if it's remote or not, but I would really like to do this job. Can you reach out to the employer and see if they can look at my resume and see if they'd like to do an interview? So reaching out to your vocational rehabilitation council, not counsel, I'm so sorry, vocational rehabilitation in your state, getting the case manager, talking to them about your opportunities and your, possibilities, and seeing if they can reach out to the employer, because it's not just about people with disabilities finding work, it's connecting the employers to the people that have disabilities. Because and you know what? An employer that wants to have accessibility and to make accommodations so that we as people with disabilities can work for those employers, that's a win-win. And really, I would, more employers, not just for like whatever their, tax breaks. I think there's really good, genuine people in this world that want people with disabilities at the table, and we should be at the table. We shouldn't be asked. We should just create that seat. And so there's a lot of room for bridging the gap. So don't forget to reach out to your vocational rehabilitation center and make sure that they can connect you with those employers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good point.
All right, do we have time for one more?
Let's do it.
Lydia says, I was working full-time and had to leave due to terminal brain cancer. Sorry to hear that. I was approved for SSDI, which will start October of 25. I am receiving short-term disability from MetLife, my employer, even though she's saying she received short-term from MetLife. Even though I have no intention of returning to work full-time, it's $332 per week. I thought it would run out by now, but they keep extending it. They are working on extending it again. Should I stop this or do I need to report this if they do not extend it?
I want to make sure I get it. Short-term disability, they keep extending it. She's approved for Social Security disability benefits 10-1. All right.
Yes,
Um,
she was approved, so yeah.
she was approved. I don't know the financial component of it. So if she's getting like a gargantuan amount of short-term disability and it's more than her Social Security and it makes financial sense, she'd have to do the math on that. But if it doesn't make financial sense, then I'd get rid of it. That would be my take based on what I know. Yeah, there's some missing pieces there, so I don't want to provide bad advice, but based on what you're telling me, that's my take.
All right, well, that was the last from the Facebook group.
All right.
Nadine, you want to take it?
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Philip. So everyone, again, I'm posting the link for those of you who want to join us live and ask your questions, and also posting the number for you to dial using your mobile if you don't have a Zoom app. So while we wait for a joiner, I do have a couple of questions here from the chat. There's similar question from three different people, so I'm just kind of combining them all together to save time. So the question is, if I'm on SSDI, working part-time and earning under the SGA amount, do I need to do that through the Ticket to Work program? And how often do I need to report my earnings to Social Security? Or do I still have to report them since it's under the limit? So that's like a question from three different people.
Sure. Ticket to Work. You have any insight on this, Andrea?
I don't. That's really not my
Okay.
field house right now.
You may get this one. So the Ticket to Work program is 100% optional, and it's ideal for people that want to work full time, based on my experience. You can go back to work full time and you can go into the Ticket Work program. You can use your trial work months. You can earn as much money as you want for 9 months out of 5 years and test, right? But what we're really focused on here today is not that. It's just really like the starting small concept and getting through. So that being said, if you're working part-time, there are some ticket to work programs where you could be involved in a job through a ticket to work program working part-time. That does exist out there. They're not many. They're ideally for full. So optional, don't have to do it.
And if they're earning below the SGA, how often do they need to report their earnings?
Your award letter states that you want to inform Social Security when you work. And I would, let's say you start working and you're earning like $500, $600, $700 a month and you report it to them. Unless you've had a significant change in your work history, it doesn't, it's not within the requirements to like call them every month. I made, $550. That's not necessary. But if you do increase your income, like you're earning at $400 a month and you bump it up to 6 or 7, I would let them know, although it's not clearly specified in the regulations, it's better to notify them and do it in writing. And, if you stop working, it's not necessary to let them know. Just if you do or if you increase.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question, is it worth reaching out to vocational rehabilitation if you're only able to work very part-time, like a couple of hours a week? Or uh are they more so for helping people looking for full-time work?
No, they're across the board. And I know that because I over the years of having my own company have considered, you know, finding part-time work or finding like I'm very flexible. Um and I would still do my business. I just might scale it down a bit or, maybe have more passive income going, but so there's a lot of options to be honest. If someone's open and they're flexible, vocational rehabilitation really is there to find the solutions, to be honest. So I would suggest anybody who is even just curious, the only way someone would find out if something is not for them is to investigate, right? Um, don't leave the stone unturned. So I would suggest that anybody at any capacity who might be looking for any hours reach out to Voc Rehab and have that discussion with the case manager. Because I think there's a lot of employers out there that really want to, of course, fill their positions and then fill their positions with people with amazing talent and uniqueness and like across the board. Because that's what makes a healthy community, really, and it makes a healthy employee and like company, right? Is like we all bring our, and when I say healthy, I mean in terms of it's good that we all have differences and it's good that we're all unique because we bring that experience to the table. And I think a good employer would want to have that.
Well said. Yeah, I mean that different voices and somebody could be sitting on a whole bunch of really good knowledge, and that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a time value thing that could
Yeah.
be accumulated, over.
Absolutely, absolutely. And accessibility, I think one of the things we talk about with the State Rehabilitation Council and hireability, with leadership is some companies have this, and society has this like stigma that they think that accommodations are big and they're so expensive and they're just negative, and it's not. Accommodations can be all over the board and that's okay. And sometimes an accommodation is just, like me, I had to if I applied for a job now while having my company, I might be able to go into the office here and there and use my earplugs for 4 hours, right? But
Yeah,
for the most part, I would need to work from home.
yeah.
Um, that's really not a bad, I mean, accommodations are good. And again, it really tells us who are the employers. And I think as more employers learn more and we have these conversations with leaders and with hiring managers and things like that, it really helps us all educate each other. I think that's really important. And that's why Brian has this wonderful chat today. So
Thank you. And the education piece is steep. I'll share this with you. I go to industry conferences, people that do work like this. Mostly it's Social Security, disability representatives, attorney, non-attorneys. And I'm always like, listen, why don't you consider having some of those that you've helped get awarded come back and do some work for you? 2 people in 19 years have done it, and they've been very grateful, and it's been super results. But I don't know. I mean, it's just so you just need to stay at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the consistency piece, that professional, polite, and what was the other one?
Polite, professional, and persistent.
Perfect.
Persistent.
Perfect.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Next question here is from Mark Green. I have my first pain management appointment next week. Any advice on what to communicate?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's trying to, if it's a traditional doctor with pain management, but I'll go this way. When you go to your doctors, the most important thing from securing your disability income, like getting it and keeping it, is being truthful and communicating your limitations with specific timeframes. So with pain management, let's say you have degenerative disc disease, and that's where they're going to work on you. So if you're not able to stand like I am right now for more than 15 minutes, and then you've got to sit down, but you only can sit down for 20 minutes, and you can do that alternation like 3 times, and you got to go flat on your back. That's the best advice that I can give you, or modify whatever it is to your limitation for your doctor's communication. So they know, because that puts it in your medical records. You need to make sure it goes in your medical records. And then that helps you work with a doctor to get better. And then it also helps Social Security or whatever type of disability benefit company is going to look at your medical records, help them understand where you're at.
All right. Thanks for that. Now, the next question that I have here, this is from a member who sent us an email, and he wanted to ask for your opinion, Brian. So he said, I received my SSDI award letter, and my monthly payments will begin next month. I had declined pursuing SSI based on the Social Security interviewer's advice, since she said I don't qualify, and pursuing it might delay my back pay, dating back to early 2022. I also received a letter confirming the SSI decision. However, my SSDI award letter says that my back pay payment date is still not yet determined until SSI is clarified. Since I was told SSI was already resolved, why is my SSDI back pay still on hold? Oh, that was a lot.
Welcome to the Social Security Administration. We try our best, but we don't always get it right. So I think what's happened there is somehow an application for SSI was put in. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been this conflict. It sounds to me like this case is now at the payment center with Social Security, where they do checks and balances. And unless, I don't know what your expected Social Security disability check amount would be, but if it's like $1,500 or more, then there isn't really an SSI piece that's, applicable. But I will say this, just be polite, persistent, and professional, and follow up and get that resolved, because it can get stuck for months there at the payment center. And the other thing that you should do, depending on your check amount, is still apply for the extra help program in your state if your disability check is below $1,700 a month, because that will hopefully reduce significantly or eliminate your Medicare Part B monthly premium, which is $185. So if you want help with all of this, and you're a member here at the Disability Digest, you can take advantage of your benefit review. You can request it. Our experts will go through your benefits and help you understand like what you're entitled to and all that. The challenge is this. We're approaching the hot season for Medicare and the team is like really busy. So it would likely be something that would be done in December, but you can get on the list now. If you're not a member, you can come join us. That's my take.
Thank you. And I think he is already working with Gloria, so good for him. But
Oh,
he
yes.
still want, yeah, yep, he is. All right, one more question here. This is also from a member who sent us an email. I've been noticing more symptoms lately, but my problem is I only seem to remember them when they're happening. So I've started keeping notes so I don't lose track. My question is, when I go to the doctor, should I bring all of that information with me? Do I need to start from the very beginning, like back in college when I first started self-medicating because of my social anxiety that was so bad I could barely leave my dorm? Or should I only focus on what's been affecting me recently? Will a regular doctor even want to hear all of that? I feel so overwhelmed by everything I have to do just to get to the appointment.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Or I can wait for you to go, Brian, if you want.
No, I'd like to hear from you first.
Okay, so there's this wonderful person in Vermont who is a potential client of mine, and she has this amazing tool called Pictal, Pictal. Have you heard of it? Okay, what it is for that question and that situation makes a lot of sense. A lot of us struggle with that, right? How much information? Oh, and I have to tell the story all over again. Oh my gosh. Or if you change a doctor, I mean, it's overwhelming. She made this product, it's a service really, that you input all of your information and it essentially you can print out this timeline of your health issues and you can give it to your doctor so that you don't have to, every time you go to a different doctor or whatever, you don't have to tell it all over again, which for me, that's exhausting. And it's a very affordable product. Well, I should say that it's relative to everybody's income, but I think it's like $47 or $57 for the year and you can use this product. So I'm not an influencer for that product. I just, when we were talking, I think that what she has is so amazing. I'm going to actually have her on my show at some point. You might even want to talk to her yourself.
Sure.
But that might help. That might help not just this individual that wrote in, but I'm going to actually use the product because it's too much to have to re-explain that all over again.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it just really organizes your health affairs. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, in a very her clients are, patients and also clinicians.
Mhm.
So, it really can help on both ends. But I know Brian's got a lot of good information on this one too, but I just wanted to make sure people knew that that was an option if they would like it.
Philip, what do? You have a few conditions that you have to communicate, medications. Do you have it summarized or?
Ask again.
So with your health situations, you've got, a few conditions and medications. Do
Yeah.
you have like, how do you communicate it if you've got to do it new? Do you have it summarized or what do you
Yeah.
do?
I keep a running list of all the medications and what they're for and what they help me with. So,
Hmm.
and I keep it, of course, on my phone. So when I go to the doctor's appointment, I walk in. First thing I do is send them the digital imprint of all the medication and stuff, so they have it for it. And usually they ask for it before I get there. So,
Okay.
and it's got the medications and conditions.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just send it by email or text.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think,
I don't have any special programs now.
well, I mean, that sounds Sounds efficient to me. And this is definitely something that we could research and tighten up for other people out there, but I'd like to know more about that service, Andrea. But
Yep.
Yeah.
my take on the time frame is when you go to your doctor and you have your 12-minute visit, you have to be respectful of that. And maybe you get more,
Yeah.
but they're not very long. So if you want to go in there and do a big data dump, I don't view that to be successful. So being well organized and I really don't know what to speak to the time frame. If I'm looking at it from a Social Security perspective, most most times they just want the last 2 years, but there are certain situations where this is, there's a historical time frame that could be helpful. Um, but hopefully that's helpful. I would just really make sure you get the last 2 years definitely tight, and do the best you can to get it in time. But the limitations again are the key thing.
Right.
That's really from where I sit or stand. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was the last question from my end.
okay. I have one last question for Andrea.
Okay.
You sitting down?
I'm sitting down. Let's do it.
All right, you went through all of this today, which is fascinating. I totally am impressed. I applaud you for what you've done and your success, truly inspiring. But if you had one thing that you could do differently, if you were starting over today, like your mother before she started her cookie business, if you were
Yeah.
all over today and you had one thing that stood out that you could or probably maybe should do differently, what would it be?
To have less doubt in myself. I am always second guessing myself, and I really do believe this, and this is why I talk to a therapist about health issues. My health issues have caused such self-doubt and imposter syndrome that I have been thinking about doing some really big, cool things, or even small things, for such a long time that I think has hurt me in a financial aspect and a growth aspect. And that's why I'm in therapy. I'm so glad to be talking to a psychologist about these issues to make sure that I don't, shame myself because of health issues, which is a real, very real thing.
Yeah.
So if I were going to do it over again and start over, um, I would just try to be kinder to myself and not doubt myself. And that's what I'm trying to do going forward, is to just have more faith in myself and know that I'm going to fail here and there, but that's part of the journey. And I just need to embrace it.
That's so beautiful. We are better than we think we are.
Yes, we are.
Right.
And we bring amazing things to the table. Now, I'm not saying me specifically, I'm saying we all. And when we connect with each other and collaborate, we can learn and grow in ways that can solve some huge issues that the world needs solving. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of great.
What a great message to end on. So I thank you for your contribution to our audience out there today. And when you get your YouTube station fired up, maybe if we meet your qualification criteria, we can come over and contribute.
Absolutely. You'll absolutely be invited, because I want people to come and talk about how they're changing the world. And you are all changing the world in amazing ways. And yes, look at that. How that is so funny. Perfect. It's almost like we planned that, but we didn't. But yeah, nonprofits and for-profits and people that are making positive impacts, in my opinion, are the game changers.
Good.
So thank you for what you're doing, all
You're
of you.
you're very welcome. On a closing note, for those of you that are out there, virtual clap for Andrea,
Thank
Philip,
you.
Nadine, thank you. Listen, we have some special events coming up in the next few weeks. What's today? Next week, we have Mark Sneeroch, who is coming out, and he is a national Medicare disability benefit expert. There's been so many changes out there. He's going to break down like what's caused the problems, what you need to really know about, So make sure if you're at all concerned about your healthcare coverage, that you come and join that event. And then the next week after that, we've got Gloria and Daphne who will be here. And these are two benefit experts here at the Disability Digest. They're actually going to show you how to review your benefit options, like what you're entitled to for your Social Security, disability benefits, and Medicare, and what changes you may want to consider making. So stay tuned for those, and love to have you back sometime. Let's stay in touch, Andrea. All right.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank
All
you,
right,
Philip
everybody.
and Nadine.
God bless you out there.
All
Make it a
right.
great day. Until the next time.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea.